Okay, so two types you already did. One was for your free fall. I hope everybody has come from your break. Okay. Okay, Tanmay, I'll just show for 2 minutes the last example. You can take a screenshot of it. Okay, so till your example 3 or till your type 2, everything is clear. So one we had for free fall downward motion, and one is your for upward motion. Yeah, Naman, I do play. Daily I play. And most of the time I play Call of Duty. So you all took my time of playing the game into the lecture. Okay, so chalo, I'm just putting on the recording. We can just have a start. So now moving to the next type. As your type 3 is nothing but vertically upwards from top of a tower. So your second type and third type is almost same. Second was also moving upwards and your third type is also moving upwards. So now your third type is but moving upwards from a certain height. Now if it is such a case, then first of all I can say displacement will be zero if it is returning to the same point. So if you're standing on the top of a tower and if you're throwing some object upwards and when you catch that object again, so obviously the displacement will be zero. So I just mentioned over there inside the bracket, it returns to the top. Second, when I talk about the acceleration, since you're throwing the object upwards, so it obviously with reference to the initial motion, acceleration A will be minus G, negative. When you talk about the final velocity, if it reaches the maximum height, so that also we know any object if you throw upwards and if it reaches the maximum height, the velocity V will be zero. And when it returns to the ground, we say displacement is minus H. Now why it is minus? So suppose if there is a building, there is some object, you're throwing that object vertically upwards, it is coming back on the ground. Now when I talk about this much displacement, when it reaching the same height, so can I say the displacement is zero while moving up and coming down? But from that point to the ground, when it is moving downwards, so you can say that displacement was covered in the opposite direction. Means that is nothing but moving downwards. So as per the initial throw, if you check the value of S which will be covered, the displacement which will be covered, the height of the building which will be covered, the displacement is opposite to the direction of velocity. So since it is opposite, we say it is minus H. Since the direction is opposite, we take it as minus H. That's it. So these are your conditions to be remembered. Yeah, Atharva?
Yes, sir. Acceleration would be like to go to the top, it would be minus G, and then while coming, it would be G, right?
Yeah, if you
So
take the
we'll
two
take
cases
two.
separately, yeah, if you solve it separately as the two cases, even you will get the answer. So that time you can take while moving up case A as negative and while coming down the other case A as positive.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, but during moving down, the displacement will be nothing but the total height from the maximum height to the ground, which will be positive, the total value. So you need to calculate this displacement, you need to calculate this, and as per that, you need to do your further calculations. Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
yeah, welcome. Yeah, Gautam, the upward distance will be called as your maximum height, the maximum height from the top of the tower, upward distance. Okay, so there is some small numerical based on that. So it is said that a stone is being thrown upward with a speed u from the top of a tower, reaches the ground with a velocity 3u, find the height of the tower. So again, We can use some motion equations to simplify this. Yeah, anyone would like to help me out with the solution? Anyone from Goregaon, sorry, Girgaon, from Girgaon side or from any other branch? I think Andheri, Chembur, Girgaon, Borivali. Okay. Anyone else? How to get the final answer for this? Okay, Bhavya, you are getting 4u by g square. Okay. Are you sure you're getting g square? Yeah, Tanmay, I didn't get you what you exactly asking. Okay, I did not know the type 2 formula. Can you? Okay, okay, fine. I will just explain you at the end of the lecture, not a problem. Yeah, anyone, you can raise the hand so that if you want to answer. Okay, so Bhavya has shown the entire calculation. Okay, h is v square minus u square by 2g. Okay, 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 okay. Yeah, perfect, Bhavya. Okay, so I'm getting the answer as 4u square by g. I'll just show the calculation what Bhavya has shown. So this is what Bhavya has solved. That h is v square minus u square by 2g. Then you just substitute the values. You get your h value as 4u square by g. That is height of the tower. Okay, Tanmay. Okay, so I'll just give a rough calculation how it can be done. So initial velocity is u, then final velocity v will be minus 3u. Why it will be minus 3u? Because your final velocity is directed in the downward direction. The velocity when it hits the ground, it is downward. So the sign will be minus. Acceleration a will be negative because it is moving up as per the initial case. Acceleration is always taken with reference to the initial throw. So g will be minus 10. Yeah, Sharma, you can take. Then displacement s is minus h because when it is reaching the ground, displacement is negative. If you just substitute in the formula, you get your h value as 2 by 5 u square. And even the rest of you gave the answer 4 by 10. That is also right. 0.4 u square. Yeah, Kushi, even that's right. So G value, you can take it as 10 or 9.8 as per your choice. So that was a simple question. The only thing for me important was the sign conventions which will be considered. So if there is no doubt in this question, can I give the next numerical based on that? Can I? Okay, so don't those who want to copy or something, just take a screenshot or a pic of it. I'll just move to the next screen. Yeah, Durga, tell me.
Sir, actually, my internet was little slow. I joined late. Our chemistry lecture is not there.
No, the chemistry lecture is a bit not there. Due to some network issues the sir is facing at his place.
Sir,
So
no,
we are just
it will be
continuing.
physics.
Yeah, we are just doing the physics part then.
Okay,
Continuing
then.
with that.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Okay, so I'm just moving to the next screen. Yeah, Durga, even just you take a pic of it so that I will just move for the next. So there is one more small numerical based on it. So who is going to attempt the next one? Example 2. Sharva, you want to try?
Yes,
Sharva?
sir.
Okay, can you try?
Yes, sir. Okay,
Okay,
sir.
fine. Chalo. I'm just giving even, okay, Durga, even you can try.
Okay.
Yeah, and even Tanmay, I think so. He's also there. Okay,
Yes,
chalo.
sir.
Here's a question for three of you. Quickly tell me what it will be. That's the last question of the motion in one dimension.
So we have to raise our hand again.
You can raise the hand. I'm just unmuting you. Sorry, I'm just muting you all. So once it's done, let me know. Yeah, Tanmay.
9.8.
9.8.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How you got that
So,
9.8?
sir, initial velocity will take as minus 4.9,
Okay.
and then I took the acceleration as 9.8,
Okay.
and then the t is given as 2 seconds.
Okay.
So we'll just use the formula which is equal to ut minus half at square.
Okay. Okay. Fine. So you got 9.8 as for that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Durga, you had some different method?
No, no, no.
So, or we
Same
could
one.
just take u positive and the
S is equal to,
g
yeah.
Negative.
because
It's
sign
upward.
convention. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
chalo. Not a problem. Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you,
G
Tanmay and
Thank you,
negative
sir.
Durga.
and
Yeah,
anything
Naman.
else.
So I have one question with the sign convention.
Yeah,
When
tell
do we
me.
take our velocities minus negative?
Velocity, we see initial velocity, we never take negative.
Yes,
Initial
sir.
velocity, wherever you throw, that is your reference. Now, with respect to
Okay, sir.
that direction, anything is going opposite to that. If displacement or final velocity is opposite to that, that will become negative.
Okay, sir.
And
So in
acceleration is
this case,
related to the with gravity positive, without and against the gravity negative.
okay, sir.
Sure?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so for this question, you can directly, okay, Etisham, tell me.
Sir,
Yeah.
I do have a doubt, but sir, if
Hmm.
that stone is thrown upwards, then
Hmm.
that distance will be more than the height of the bridge, no? The total distance.
No. How come?
So because the stone is thrown from the bridge.
From
So
the
that
edge
using the
of the
bridge.
bridge. So it is thrown from the edge of the bridge, no?
So
So
but
that
it is
will be
thrown
on.
downwards or upwards.
It is upwards. So if it is your edge of the building, sorry, edge of the bridge, so you can say, na, it was thrown upward. Then it will go down and it will hit the surface of the water. So what will be the height of the bridge? That is nothing but the vertical height of the tower, relatively. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You are the
Thank you.
one assumption is being made that it is being thrown at the edge of the bridge. Actually, if we throw, obviously there is certain height from the palm to the foot of the bridge. That height is
Yeah.
being ignored. They are just assuming that it is being released from the edge of the bridge, from the
Okay.
base of the bridge. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I will just show the calculation part of it once. Yes, Neil. For that, you know there is no trick of it. Directly, the direct shortcut formulas which I given that you need to apply. So directly you'll get the answers. Lot of practice of motion equations, less the time you take to solve. So see, all the parameters are given. Directly I applied the formula, I got the answer. Nothing different. It's just 9.8. You can take your G value as also 10. Not a problem. It will be something around 10.2. Okay, Bhavish has got 10.2. So, understood the motion in one dimension. That was the first section of the chapter, along with your vertical projectiles. Okay, so now we need to move to something else. Yeah, Aksa. That is motion in one plane, or else your two-dimensional motion. So we did only one dimension. Either it was like on a horizontal surface. Examples were a car moving, boy running, a man walking, whatever. either horizontal or either vertical. Vertical was your exact vertical projectiles with gravity or against the gravity, upward or downward. But now, that's good, Durga. But now we are going to learn the motion which will be simultaneously horizontal also, vertical also. The simple example is nothing but whenever we play a throw ball. So when we play a throw ball, when we throw a ball to our friend, so that time your friend is standing at a particular distance from you. That is your horizontal displacement on the ground. And when you throw, the ball reaches a certain height also, and it covers a certain path. It follows a certain path in its way. Means simultaneously it is going at a height and also moving at a certain horizontal distance. Means here two reference axes we need to consider, one x, one y. So the position of the particle will be with respect to the coordinate system x and y. So just to explain that, we can just go for a simple smaller diagram. It's bit of 3D, so I hope you all might understand that diagram. I just tried to make some. So suppose this is your horizontal ground, a square plot or rectangular plot, anyway you can say it is horizontal ground. I'm just taking a reference axis, x-axis. So you can say at the two ends of it, one is you and one is your friend who are going to play the throw ball. From the point where the throw ball will be released, there I'm making a vertical axis as the reference, which is your y-axis. So it is bit of three-dimensional. So if I consider a ball which will be thrown, I'm just assuming that the ball is touching the ground while I'm throwing. So just ignore the height of the palm from the surface of the ground. So if the ground is, if the ball is released from the surface of the ground, it is being directed at a certain velocity u, forming some angle theta with the horizontal. And when you throw it, obviously it will follow some path. Now how I obtained this path? Nothing but suppose in a closed big hall, auditorium, if I fill that auditorium completely with some smoke, and once you fill that completely with the smoke, then you try to throw a ball from one end to other end. Then you can see a path in that smoke. That path will be similar to what I have drawn with a blue line. Now this blue line is called as a projectile. It is called as an oblique projectile. Projectile because I am going to throw. Oblique because I am going to throw in a slant position, making some angle with the horizontal. So the earlier cases which we did, that was vertical projectile. Vertical projectile because I was throwing it exactly vertical, upward or downward. Now it will be an oblique projectile. Nothing but called as your projectile motion also. So in vectors, we have learned one thing. Oblique means it is in an inclined position. That's it, Tanmay. So in vectors, we have learned one thing, that whenever you have any vector which is inclined, and if you have reference axis made, the first thing to do is just split into its components. No, Tanmay Chaudhary, y-axis is perpendicular to the plane. It's a three-dimensional. So if I have a vector which is inclined, I will always split that vector into its perpendicular components. One component will be along your x-axis, which will be called as u cos theta, because the component which is adjacent to theta is called as u cos theta. That we did in vectors. And the component which is perpendicular to it is called as your u sin theta. So this tells us that when the ball was going to travel along this path, it was having a horizontal velocity and a vertical velocity simultaneously. And since two vectors were acting at every point, so there will be some resultant at every point. and that resultant gave me the structure or the shape of this graph, because that resultant is but tangent. First of all, if I talk your U cos to two types. So there is motion, the cos. Hello, is it audible? Sorry, my network. I just lost my network for some time. Okay, so where I was, okay, so when I talk about horizontal motion, so the horizontal motion is always your uniform motion. Now, why I say horizontal is uniform? So the experiment which we are carrying out of throwing a ball is being carried out by assuming some conditions. The condition is that there is no atmosphere, and there is, if no atmosphere means there is no air resistance or any value of wind speed, no drag force. Yeah, Durga, you can say that. Means there is only acceleration due to gravity which is acting on the system. So this is the ideal assumption which is being made for this experiment. So if there is only acceleration due to gravity, that means I can't have g along x-axis. I cannot have gravity which is along horizontal axis. Your gravity is always vertical, means along y-axis. So if there is no acceleration due to gravity along x-axis, means my x velocity is not going to increase or decrease. Since there is no acceleration due to gravity horizontally, there is no g horizontally. That means my velocity, which is u cos theta horizontal, is not going to change. It is not going to increase or decrease due to the absence of acceleration due to gravity along x-axis, along the surface of the ground. So we call horizontal motion as uniform motion. That means at every point, see, the value of horizontal velocity will be same. That is u cos theta. It is not going to change. So here I will directly apply a formula. Distance is equal to speed into time. That is possible. But when I talk about vertical motion, so the vertical motion is nothing but a non-uniform motion. Now, why it is a non-uniform motion? Because vertically there is acceleration due to gravity. So when the ball moves upwards, the velocity will decrease, and when it moves downwards, the velocity will increase. Means the initial value of u sine theta is going to become 0 when it reaches the maximum point here. Means the magnitude is continuously going on decreasing for your u sine theta. And when it comes back again on the ground, that time your u sine theta again starts increasing from 0, and when it touches the ground, the value becomes again u sine theta. So you can just refer that the vertical velocity becomes u sine theta to 0, then 0 to u sine theta again. This means your initial velocity and your final velocity will be same, only the direction will be different, but the magnitude wise it will be same. the angle with which it will hit the ground, that will also be same. So if it is non-uniform or if it is uniform, I need to just get the value of this graph equation, because whenever we draw a graph, suppose if you draw a straight line in x and y axis, you know the equation of a straight line, that is ax plus by plus c equal to 0, linear equation in two variable. Even if you draw some quadratic equation, you know how it is represented. Means the curve which I have made, that should also have some equation. So to get an equation in x and y, I will just assume a point on the graph. Let us assume a point A on the graph. And let that point A, or the ball, reaches point A in time t. So when you're throwing it, it takes time t to reach point A. So I can say it will cover some height and it will cover some horizontal distance. To cover that vertical displacement and to cover that horizontal displacement, both this one and this one, it is going to take the same time t, because horizontal and vertical are being carried out simultaneously. So when your ball reaches point A, it takes time t, and in that time t, it covers some horizontal displacement and vertical. Now since I am going to get an equation, I will just assume the variables as x and y, which are nothing but certain coordinates on that graph in general coordinates. So I'll take horizontal coordinate as x. So if I just relate displacement is x, time is taken t. If I talk about the velocity, since I am dealing with horizontal motion, I need to take the value of velocity, which is the horizontal component. So at A, the horizontal component is u cos theta, because it is a uniform motion. So it will be u cos theta. Now since it is directly a uniform motion, I will directly apply the formula displacement is equal to speed into time. Now since your t was assumed by you, means in the final equation I cannot have t. So what I will do, I will just separate t in this part and I will keep t as x by u cos theta. Again I am repeating, since in the final equation I am relating my x and y, I am getting the equation in terms of x and y. So my t is unknown, which I assumed. I cannot keep my t in the final equation of the graph. So for that I am separating my t in the first case so that I could replace it. Now let us move to the vertical motion. Now when it is vertical motion, it is non-uniform. Now just focus on the vertical parameters. So the displacement, I can just assume that to reach point A, the vertical displacement was y. Look in the diagram. So s is y. Your acceleration A will be negative because it is reaching your point A, means it is moving up vertically. So for only vertical motion, your A will be negative. When you talk about the initial velocity, so since I have already used u, I am not using u again for the formula. So just to avoid confusion, I am writing it as u dash. So my initial velocity is u sine theta, because that was a vertical component of the motion initially. And time is t, as we know, because horizontal and vertical are going to happen at the same time. So if I just put the second motion equation, again I'm just repeating, for vertical I will just refer to the vertical parameters. Means my initial velocity vertically was u sine theta. Since it was moving vertical, means acceleration will be minus g, and the displacement it covered vertically was y. And the vertical time to reach point A is same the time taken to cover your x, because it is happening simultaneously. So t I have taken same. Now I will just substitute these values. S as y, u dash as u sine theta, t which I got from the first part, this one, I will replace over here. So I think so that will become x by u cos theta. Now a is your minus g. If I take minus outside, it will become minus half g, and in place of t, it was x by u cos theta the whole square. Again the same, huh? The same t I replace over here. Now just simplify. So I can say u and u will get cancelled. Sin theta by cos theta is tan theta as per the trigonometry, minus the second term you will get half g x square by u square cos square theta. So what I got? I got a relation between x and y. What I got? I got a equation of the curve. So now you can find any coordinate on that curve. So if I take any point on that curve, if I know x, I can get corresponding y. Anything. So this is your generalized relation for the equation. Now why it is forming such a curve? So there is some mathematical meaning of it. In maths, you learn something about parabola. That parabola states, if my equation is of the form y square equal to 4ax. If my equation is of the form y square equal to 4ax, now this equation represents a parabola. And that parabola will graphically look like something this way. I'll just make the diagram for you. So that parabola will be in this form. See the curve, where it is facing towards a positive x. How you recognize that? See the second term, which is linear. In that, the sign is positive. So this indicates that plus x means it is directed towards your positive x. So whenever you represent some parabolic curves in maths, you always find that one will be quadratic, one will be linear. If both are linear, it is a straight line, ax plus by equal to c. If one is linear, one is quadratic, it is parabola, such type of curve. If both are quadratic, then it is nothing but either a circle or either an ellipse. So if it is a straight line, both are linear. If it is parabola, means one variable will be linear and other variable will be quadratic. And if both are quadratic, it will be either circle or it will be ellipse, or you can say it will be hyperbola also. So this is what actually we learn in maths for parabola. So this is an equation of a parabola. And this is how it is represented. So one should be quadratic, other should be linear. This is how we recognize a parabola. Only this simple part I need to make you understand. One should be linear, other should be quadratic. One variable linear, other variable quadratic. And the linear part will indicate in which side your parabola is facing. Suppose if I write the equation as simple y square equals to minus 4x. So it is minus x, so you can get a second parabola. Now that second parabola will nothing but in the other direction. Nothing but the parabola will be looking like this way. The second one. Also, one more equation I can have. Suppose if I say x square equal to 4by. Just a minute. Okay. So if I say x square equal to 4by. So now it is plus y. So plus y means you can say it is going to face now the other side. There's nothing but the parabola in this form. Upward. Yeah. And now what are these A and B? This A and B are nothing but the focus values. Now what is this focus? I will just explain with one of the curves so that it won't confuse. So suppose this is the parabola and they have written 4A over here something. Means on the parabola there is a point called as focus here, S. And that point is nothing but your 2A comma 0. Oh sorry, A comma 0. So that is a point called as focus of the parabola. So in maths, you will learn in detail all those things. So I don't want to go to that much thing. I just want to make you understand the mathematical part, how our equation is representing this as a parabola. So if you carefully see, just check one thing, that when you wrote this equation, your x was quadratic and y was linear. Your x was quadratic and y was linear. So if your x is quadratic and y is linear, that means it is of the form, you can say x square is equal to 4by. This is of the form, means where it should project either towards positive y or it will look at negative y, either upward or downward. But one thing in quadratic we learn, that the coefficient of x square should always be positive. If the coefficient of x square should be positive, means this entire left hand side will be shifted on the right hand side to make x square as positive, and y will be shifted on the right hand side. So the equation becomes your minus 4by. And minus 4by means where the graph is going to point out, it is going to point out in the downward direction. Now just compare this and this one. Is it similar? So means the equation which we got over here, this equation is nothing but a parabolic equation. Hence we say that a projectile motion is a parabolic motion. So we use the word parabola because the final equation which we got, it is your parabolic equation. And how we recognize as parabolic? Because one variable was linear, other variable was quadratic. Is it clear? And so finally you can say whatever equation you got, it is called as your equation of trajectory. Trajectory nothing but the path which it has followed, or projectile motion, which is a parabolic motion. Yes, Tanmay, you're correct. Four by is the representation of the equation, and since it is minus 4, it will be pointing towards the negative y direction. So it will be downward, and it will have a focus as 0 comma minus b. Yeah, Tanmay, I didn't understand which a on the other side.
No, sir. If the A is moving and it goes forward, the acceleration will still be in the same direction, right?
The parameters will be same, not a problem in that.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, because we are considering along with the initial stages.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
So can you just repeat focus again, just
Yeah, I will
once?
just repeat. Yeah, I will just. Okay, so is it clear? So I'll just repeat again, those who didn't understand or bit of confusion. So suppose whatever the equation we have got, I'm just explaining one of the equation, 4by. So the graph which it will represent, that will be the downward direction for x square equal to minus 4by. And when we write x square equal to minus 4by, means there will be a point which will be called as focus, and that focus value will be 0 comma minus b. This is a focus. And now what is a focus and all that you will be learning when you will learn your parabola in detail. As in circle you have a center, similarly in ellipse and parabola you have something called as focus. No, it is not going to meet. It's moving to infinite path. Yeah, Tanmay. Tanmay, tell me.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, tell me now.
So you said that x square is equal minus 4by, but how the minus 4by?
No, there are four representations in all. Okay, the parabola can be represented in four ways. One, it can point towards positive x. One, it can face positive y. One, it can face negative x. One, it can face negative y, right? So when it faces your positive x, so if it is facing positive x, so right hand side it should be 4x plus x. But if x is linear, so y will be quadratic. That became the equation. Okay. Now the diagram which I had made, it is facing which direction? It is facing negative y. So negative y means the equation should be minus 4by because it is facing negative y. And if it is y linear, means x will be quadratic. So this is your equation of the parabola. And in our case also, if we compare, so see, x was quadratic, but your x square coefficient was negative. And in quadratic equation, when you learn your basic quadratic, your x square coefficient cannot be negative. So to make it positive, I need to shift this entire term on the other side. So obviously y will come on the right hand side. And when y is shifted on the right hand side, that will become minus y. So you are getting x square equal to minus y. So since it is negative y, means it is facing downwards as per the definition of parabola. And see, our curve is also facing downwards. Means mathematically we prove it that this equation of the projectile is actually representing some parabolas whose equations in maths are similarly related. Yeah.
And so y square is also not is not negative.
Y square can be because it can face the other end also, not this way.
Okay.
So parabolas are, there are total four equations. It can be downward, it can be towards right, upward, or towards left. Whichever axis it is facing, that will be your linear. Means if it is facing negative y, that becomes minus 4by. Actually, we take b for your y or y intercepts, and you take a for your x intercepts. Understood?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, Vidip, tell me. Vidip. Vidip, can you hear me? I'm not able to unmute you. Yeah, Durga, tell me.
Oh no, sir, by mistake, sorry.
Acha, okay, chalo. No, Tanmay, actually the focus is a point such that like there is something called as directrix also. If I just go in detail with your parabola, so there is one line called as directrix line, which is made over here, which passes through x. Here in this case, you can say it is passing through 0, comma b. So this point is actually your 0, comma b. So whenever you define your parabolic curve, this equation was derived from a relation that if you draw a perpendicular distance to the directrix and a distance to the focus, now both these distances will be equal. This is how your parabola was derived, the equation of parabola, this way. So the every point on your parabola will be equidistant from the focus and the directrix, this way. Yeah, chalo. Now it will become your maths lecture then. I'll just move forward. Yeah, Ahan, tell me. Ahan, hello. I'm not able to unmute you. Yeah, Karan, I can take same time because when you throw, obviously both the things are happening simultaneously. Yeah, Ahan, the focus is nothing but a point within that parabola. It can be anything. It's some constant numbers you just remember. And when you go by the graph, so that time you can just represent that the given projectile equation was having a quadratic part and a linear part. When you have one quadratic and one linear, it is a parabola. And since we're getting minus x square, so I cannot have a negative coefficient for a quadratic part for x square. So I need to make that positive. So because of that, y becomes negative. And if y is negative, means that is facing the downward. So when this equation is compared to the 4 equations of parabola, in that the fourth equation, which is your x square equal to minus 4by, is easily compared with that. Hence we say the given curve equation or the given curve which you will obtain during projectile motion is a parabola. Yeah, should I move to the next screen if it's done? Okay. Yeah, not a problem. If you're not understanding those 4 equations, it just simply whatever direction it is facing, that will be your linear curve. If it is facing your positive x-axis, means x will be linear and y will be quadratic. Just remember that part. In parabola, the end which it is facing, that particular end will be linear and the other one will be quadratic. So if it is facing your positive y-axis, means upward parabola, so that time y will be linear and x will be quadratic. Only this much simple thing you remember. No problem in that. Okay, so this entire equation will be called as your equation of trajectory. Okay. So now there are some formulas which I need to derive. 3 formulas we will just derive and just we will try to end the lecture. So I don't want to bore you all a lot. Okay, so suppose if I take a horizontal ground again, a horizontal axis and a vertical axis. So this is the projectile which it will carry out. So some first formula is related to your horizontal range, R. So what does that mean? Suppose if I have an object over here, once I throw that object, can I say it will first go to a certain height upwards during the motion? It will come back to the ground. Means if I talk about the vertical motion of the ball, it started from the ground, it came back on the ground on the other end. But vertically, can I say the total displacement is 0? Because y will be 0, it is coming back. And your x value is nothing but called as horizontal range. So can directly say this point of the graph in coordinate form, it will be r comma 0 directly if I talk in terms of coordinate systems, because x value is r and since it is lying on the x-axis, so y coordinate will be 0. In terms of physics, ball is coming back on ground, so vertical displacement is 0 and horizontal displacement is equal to r. So since I know x and r, can I say r comma 0 is substituting this equation? It will satisfy the equation, it will satisfy the parabola. So can I directly take the equation of trajectory, and in that trajectory equation I can substitute those values. And once I know that, can I shift this second term on the other side to remove this minus sign? Here it will be simply r tan theta. Now in this case, again, can we say the 2 and u square cos square are in the denominator, that will go in the numerator? We can say one r will get cancelled with your r square. Then directly if you do that, you get your r value as 2u square cos square theta tan theta by g. And now tan theta, everyone know what is the formula. Tan theta is given as nothing but sin theta by cos theta. It is sin by cos. So one cos will get cancelled. Directly you can get the r value as 2u square sin theta cos theta by g. If you all know trigonometric formulas bit more better, so you can also use this formula that 2 sin a into cos a is given as sine of double angle 2a. So if you all know that formula, you just substitute, or else just remember it as 2u square sine theta cos theta by j, up to your choice. So that is your first. So directly I can give. Now in the simplification, why I'm using the equation of trajectory, there is a small reason for it. You can use your direct motion equations. Yeah, as Durga even said that even using equations of motion you can get the answer. But why I'm using equation of trajectory? Because that is the simplest way to solve the numericals later on. Because later on there will be few of the numericals, so you should have a habit of using your equation of trajectory directly to get the answers. So I showed the coordinate method, how to get the answers. If y is known, how to get x, and if x is known, how to get y. Second formula, if this is bit clear, only two more formulas are there. As we have horizontal range for the complete projectile, the second term we have something called as maximum height. So when we go for maximum height, so I can define in this form also that your maximum height will be h. So here also now you can use your basic motion equations, or else you can use your trajectory also. If I use a coordinate system, the coordinate system will directly have this point as x coordinate will be r by 2 and your y coordinate will be h. So directly you can get the relation between h and r. And if you substitute r value, you will get the value of h. That is one method. Or other method is your motion equations. That your s will be h vertically. Vertically acceleration will be minus j. Vertically initial velocity is u sine theta. See, I am again and again using the word vertically. And vertically, when it is the maximum height, all yeah, so is it clear? The second one. My net is actually giving up now. Okay, I'll just repeat one more time. So when we talk about the maximum height, just remember the maximum height, I'm taking all the parameters which are vertical because height was vertical. So if I just compare, can I say the displacement is going to be vertical h, acceleration will be vertical minus g because it is moving upwards from the initial point. Vertically, the initial velocity was u sine theta, and when it reaches the maximum height vertically, the final velocity becomes 0. So see, all the four parameters I'm taking vertical. So I'm applying the vertical motion equations. And since v, u, a, 2s all are related, I can just directly substitute in it. So you can say your v was 0, u was u sine theta the whole square, A is minus G, so minus plus became minus, that becomes 2GH. And then directly 2GH will be U square sine square, and H became U square sine square by 2G. That became the formula for maximum height attained. That is the second formula. Yeah, Tanmay, remember only the formulae. That will be very helpful to get the final answer. Yeah, Nishant, tell me. Nishant, I'm not able to hear you. No, I'm not able to hear you, Nishant. Just try to remove the cord and try to unplug it again. Just put on the chat. I'll just explain. Okay, yeah. Nishant?
Hello, sir. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. I can hear you now. Tell me.
Sir, please can you explain the maximum height part again?
Yeah. I'll just explain one more time. Not a problem. Okay, so in short, I'll just explain. Maximum height is nothing but your vertical height. So the displacement, I'm taking vertical as h. Vertically, the acceleration for moving upward will be minus g. Vertically, the initial velocity was u sine theta. And when it reaches the maximum height, the final velocity is 0. So as per the third motion equation, since S, A, U, V are known, I'm using the third motion equation. After substituting all the values of V, U, A and S, I finally get the value of H as U square sine square theta by 2G. Now once you do for maximum height, now the next thing what we need to go, the last one, last formula of the day, that is your time of flight. So when we did for the complete projectile, what was the range? For the complete projectile, what was the maximum height attained in terms of your speed and angle? Now we are going to check how much total time it is going to take to reach the final point. Again, I am taking the vertical cases. You can even take horizontal cases. If you take horizontal motion, which is a uniform motion, I can directly say the horizontal distances are, horizontal speed is u cos theta, and your time of flight will be t. So directly see, you can get the value of t as r by u cos theta. And once you substitute the r value, you can get the value of time of flight. This is one method using the horizontal uniform motion. If you have a choice, you can also go for vertical. So vertical, can I say the displacement will be 0 because time of flight means it is reaching back on the ground. So vertically, if I talk about, so it moved up and it came back on the ground. So total displacement is 0. If I talk about the acceleration, that will be minus g. If I talk about the initial velocity, that will be u sine theta, and the time will be time of flight, capital T. Now in this, if I substitute, that is your second motion equation. After substituting, you will get your u sine theta t minus half gt square. If I shift this term on the other side, I will get it as u sine theta t. One t will get cancelled. You will get the answer as 2u sine theta by h. So both the ways you can get the answer. Either you go by vertical non-uniform motion using the kinematical equation, or by using the horizontal motion using displacement equal to speed into time, in which displacement will be range r. The first case, you can say the other method, the horizontal displacement is r, the horizontal velocity is nothing but u cos theta, and your time is nothing but time of flight, capital T. So in that, now you can substitute the r value, the first formula. Once you substitute, see, u will get cancelled and one cos theta will get cancelled. The formula is 2u sine theta by g. So anyway, you can solve. Yeah, Karan, tell me.
Sir, as in the graph, so if a ball is thrown, then it covers one projectile, and then
Yeah.
when it rebounds, then it covers another projectile,
Another projectile.
and
Yes.
so on until the
Yeah.
velocity becomes 0.
Perfect.
So do in all cases the horizontal speed be same?
Yeah, in all the cases, horizontal speed will be same. Now, yeah, it depends that when it is again projected with a certain velocity, that it depends on the earth, how much resistance force is being applied by the earth, by the
Okay.
surface on which it is hit. If the it is more, then obviously the velocity with which it is rebounding again, that will be less. If
Okay.
velocity is less, then obviously horizontal and vertical component will also change
Change. Yeah.
as per that. Understood? So it all depends upon the ground, how much resisting force will be provided.
So if there is
So
no
yeah,
resistance, it will be same.
it will be, then it will go on.
Okay.
Okay, so any other doubt? So I think so. Ahan, Shaunak, okay, Shaunak was okay, clear. Okay, Ahan, for you, is it clear the first way how to get the time period? So I have the four formulas to remember. I can say one is your horizontal, projectile y equals to x tan theta minus half g x square by u square cos square theta. Range is 2u square sine theta cos theta by g. Maximum height is your u square sine square theta by 2g, and last time of flight 2u sine theta by g. I hope this much part is clear. Okay, so I don't want to bore you a lot. So we can just end the lecture, not a problem. Now there are few cases and few examples. Not few, lot of examples are there. So one lecture will completely go into that. Okay, so till then, we'll just meet in the next class. So till then, you all can enjoy. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Good night. Take care.